Do you believe Mauna Kea to be a public monument or structure?
I don't think I understand the terms. My answer would be public monument or structure, no.
Okay. Do you know that Mauna Kea is considered a public monument or structure to Native Hawaiians?
No.
Do you know that Mauna Kea is a place of worship as well as a place of burial?
Yes.
Do you believe Mauna Kea is considered an object of veneration by a substantial amount of...
I'm sorry, after veneration,
Do you believe that Mauna Kea is considered an object of veneration by a substantial amount of the public?
do not answer.
Objection. Asked and answered. Repetitive questions.
This subject has been covered.
Okay. Do you believe the building of TMT on the proposed site would be an act of desecration?
Objection. Same objection. Asked and answered. Repetitive question.
That has been asked before.
You know? So, because it's been asked and answered, I'm going to work under the presumption that there's a familiarity with HRS 711-1107.
You know what? You really need to slow down for me.
Am I really? Okay.
You're very fast.
That's slow for me.
That's
okay,
because you
I'm going to try.
You work with kindergartners, that's why. But we're all older, so you need to slow down. We don't hear that fast.
I have a hard time thinking slow. Okay, so this has been asked and it's been answered. So I'm going to work under the presumption that that you have a familiarity with HRS 711-1107.
Objection. Assumes facts which aren't evidence and improper foundation.
I'm going to ask you to please make your objection at the microphone so that we have it.
Objection. Assumes assumes facts and evidence, lack of foundation.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to overrule the objection. Mr. Kanuha, you may ask the question because I assume that question is a foundational question that you're leading to something else.
Yes.
All right, so your question is, is he familiar with this 711?
Yes.
All right.
I don't know what the reference is to. He referenced HRS
711-1107.
So I'm sorry. If you want to show me what it is,
Hello, Mr. Kanuha. So, do you happen to have a copy of 7?
I have it on a tablet.
Okay, if you'd like to show it to the witness.
I'm not familiar with this, and giving me something like this here, I'm not immediately familiar with it.
Okay. Well, according to HRS 711-1107,
Sir, you're not testifying. The witness is testifying.
I want to clarify one of his answers, though, because he answered that.
He doesn't know that section, so how can you ask him about that section?
Okay. Well, I want to inform you that HRS 711-1107 is the desecration law. 711-1107 is the desecration law. Do you believe that having a familiarity with a law of desecration would be beneficial, maybe crucial or useful towards your work in putting forth the CDUA?
The more I know, the better it is. I don't know everything. I am not familiar with that particular HRS reference that you showed to me.
Okay. Do you have an estimation, perhaps, or do you have an estimation of how many CDUAs you've worked on in your time as in this field over the past 42 years?
It's probably on the order of 10.
10. And all of these have been in Hawaii?
Yes, I've only worked really in Hawaii.
Have you ever decided that perhaps a place was too sacred to be encroached upon, and therefore you've declined to put forth a CDUA or to work with any projects for the development, perhaps, of any sites that would be considered sacred or would need a CDUA? Shorten it, simplify it.
Did you understand the question?
If he asks it again, I might. It was a compound question, but...
Sir, I get to decide if it's a compound question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to sustain the objection and ask you to break up your question, please.
Okay. Have you ever, I guess, declined to author a CDUA on any project in Hawaii due to any environmental concerns?
Why don't you stop right there?
Due to any environmental concerns?
There's work I have purposely not tried to get involved in.
Have you ever declined to author a CDUA on any proposed project that would be developing on a sacred site?
No.
Ambiguous.
Okay.
The answer's already been given.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yesterday in your testimony, I believe you stated that you believe that Mauna Kea is not sacred to you, correct?
Correct.
Do you believe any place in Hawaii is sacred?
Irrelevant, not material.
I'm going to overrule. Please answer.
I think the universe is sacred, and so I do not make distinctions between different places within it.
Did you not make a distinction with Mauna Kea?
No, I treat Mauna Kea with the respect that I try to treat every place and everyone.
So do you believe any place in Hawaii is sacred? Are there sacred sites in Hawaii?
I already said that I believe the universe is sacred, so it's got a spiritual essence.
Could you give me a yes or no to there being any sacred sites in Hawaii?
It's been asked and answered.
It was vague and ambiguous.
He answered it already.
I can't request for a yes or no answer.
Sir, I'm going to ask you to move to your next question.
Do you believe all people have a right to have sacred places?
Objection, asked and answered, repetitive.
I don't believe it was asked.
It was not, I don't think so either, but I'm relying on my rather poor memory. However, it's such a general question, I'm not sure I understand it, so it's ambiguous.
Do all people have a right to have sacred places?
Why? And what is your point in asking that question of this witness?
To get an answer, and to solidify a perspective from which this CDUA is coming.
All right.
It's hard to really, I guess, integrate the importance of sacredness and culture if you don't have an understanding of it, and if you don't even believe in it to begin with.
All right, that's fair. However, when you ask a question, it needs to be specific so that the answer can be specific and not misconstrued. So when you ask a question that is too big or too general,
Okay.
then it becomes problematic. So if you'd like to ask it in relation to his authorship of the application, go ahead.
Do you believe Native Hawaiians have the right to deem Mauna Kea a sacred place?
Yes.
And do you believe that Hawaiians have the right to protect their sacred place?
Ambiguous.
What does protect mean?
Okay, let me rephrase the question. Do you believe Native Hawaiians should have the ability to have... Do you believe Native Hawaiians should have the ability to determine treatment of their sacred places?
Objection. Argumentative. Repetitive question.
Overruled. Go ahead and answer, please.
Not separately from everyone else.
So that's a yes to the first question of all peoples having a right to...
It's a response to your last question.
Okay. I'm just noting that it seems like he answered the first one, so it's a little contradictory to say that that was unclear.
Sir,
Okay.
the response he just gave was in response to your last question. And misconstruing things is really dangerous. So
So you would agree with the fact that Native Hawaiians have the right, that Native Hawaiians should have a say in or should have the power to determine how their sacred sites are treated?
sustained. There's an objection, and it's sustained, and it's been asked and answered.